Welcome to the Mum CEO podcast. I'm your host, Esther Roach. Join me as we explore the dynamic intersection of motherhood and entrepreneurship. From the challenges to the triumphs, we're here to unravel it all. Get ready for insightful conversations, practical wisdom, and a whole lot of inspiration. Let's embark on this empowering journey together. Hello and welcome to the Mum CEO. I'm your host, Esther Roach, and today I'm joined by Nichola Threadgold. Hello, Nichola, and welcome to the show.
Good morning, Esther. Lovely to be with you this morning.
Happy to have you on the show. So for the benefit of our audience, please could you introduce yourself and just tell us, a bit about what you do, what you're all about.
Okay, so my name is Nichola Threadgold, and with my husband, we own 5 funeral homes in North and North East Lincolnshire, which is called Jason Threadgold Funeral Director. We are a multi-award winning family business, and we set up is actually our 10-year anniversary this year, Esther.
Oh, wow.
You can't quite believe it.
It goes.
So 10 years have flown by in a flash, I think. But yeah, so we're 10 years old, and as well as dealing with the business and helping the community, I am also a top 100 F entrepreneur for 2023. Thank you. And yeah, life is just full and crazy.
Well, I think it's full, it's crazy, but you seem to be enjoying it. You seem to be enjoying the journey so far with everything that's been happening for you.
Yeah, and I think, that is key, Esther. You do have to enjoy the journey. Like you, anybody that's self-employed, it's not an easy ride. But you have to find those fun elements to keep you going, and make it fun. You are in control of your own destiny when you are self-employed. But as I say, it is tough. There are tough times, but then you have to sort of err on the good times and to get you through as well.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely right on that because, sometimes I think you lack the motivation to wake up and actually carry on if you're not really, sold to whatever you're doing. So really, really important. So, you've touched on something that's interesting on there because you're not only, a business owner, but you're a mum as well. How does that fit to the whole last 10 years of the journey?
Yeah, so I am a mum. I'm not a mummy. Both my boys have grown up and flown the nest. Tom is 25 and Sam is 23. But yeah, I mean, again, family life, I've had a lot of parent guilt over the years. I found it really hard. We set up the business 10 years ago when they were in their teens. And the business pulls you from pillar to post, but then also you've got the children that, for me at that time, it was a really important time in their lives. They were doing their exams. We were thinking about, what they were going to do for their own futures. And for me, Esther, one of the worst sort of regrets I have is that when he left school, I couldn't attend his leaving day. And I still think about that and it crushes me inside. But then you have to think about, the boys have got to where they are due to the support we've been able to give them because the business has been good for us. So you do have to weigh things up. But yeah, if anybody ever asked me, is there any one regret being a mum, and it would be that, something got in the way and I had to make a decision. But I know they understand, and we talk about it, and as they've got older, they do understand, and they're very thankful for the positions they're in now for their own future careers. But yeah, it's been hard, and I guess for us in the funeral industry, again, I remember a time at Christmas, we were all geared up to go to a Christmas Eve mass, and we've got our shoes on and our coats, and just as we was going out the door, a family rang and they needed our attention. And we all had to come back inside, take our shoes off, because for us, that family had to come first. We could do what we were going to do with the boys another time. And we have to understand that, that particular family would never get that time again. So you know, the business has had to come first. But it's not easy.
No, it certainly isn't easy. And obviously from what I'm getting from you, it's, the value that you put on, the business as well as the family, because I'm getting two things where you obviously have this importance thing of what you're doing and supporting the community and being there for them. And
Yeah.
obviously got your family, but it sounds to me that you had good communication channels within your family.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. How do you think? Because obviously, I know with your son you couldn't attend,
Yeah.
um, his leaving event. But would it have been that he's not holding it onto you now? Is he? It's something
So
you would have sort of spoken about and understood why that was the
yeah.
case. Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, I guess the saving grace was, you know, my parents went instead. So it wasn't as if I just sort of left him with no family there at all. You know, and again, I think that's it. That the saving grace for me at times has been that, you know, I've been lucky to have both my parents have been able to help me with our journey as well, you know, and it's key. And I realize I am lucky because not everybody has that, you know, that either.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it is tough being a mum, but you know, I do look at the bigger picture now, and like I say, it's, you know, we're encouraging them both. Certainly Sam, my youngest, he watches me on LinkedIn and he tells me what he thinks of my posts, and so I like to think that they understand and they've got those values and ethics as well to realize through their own futures now, you know, about care and you know, and making sure that the you know that they are going on the right paths with everything. I'm happy of their outcome, definitely.
Yeah. No, and besides, with all those things, you've obviously done a good job with, raising them and being able to speak to them. And goodness, tell me about starting a business when they're teens. That's challenging on its own.
Yeah, definitely. And you know, I think you look back, don't you, when like as I say, we're 10 years in and you think, my goodness, how did we do all that? You know, but I think you have to take every day as an individual day and deal with what comes. You know, and it wasn't initially it wasn't an easy sort of decision to make because we'd only got married in the March. And it's funny because, and some people know this story, but on our wedding day, my dad took Jason to one side and he said, okay, you've now married my daughter, Jason. It's time to get your backside into gear and open on your own. Because Jason was already a funeral director working for another company. Yeah, we did just that. We started looking for a premises. We found one that was ideal for us, and that is still our head office today. And yeah, we just through hard work, we changed that property into, you know, a funeral home. And to be honest, even before we opened, people were knocking on the door and asking us if they could use our services, which was just crazy.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, you know, we did juggle the children, and I would probably have to, you know, leave, you know, to pick them up from school, and you know, in the morning I'd make sure that they got to school, and again through the support network of family and friends, you know, when it was school holidays, you know, we managed to sort of navigate where the children were going to be. And you know, Thomas then became that bit older, so he could stay at home with Sam and look after Sam. And you know, we just did it. You know, you do, don't you? You just have to think, well, we're going to fathom this out, and there's always a way. And that's what we did.
Yeah, and it's clear there because obviously you had the determination, but also Jason must have been quite petrified that he had to do something. And
Yeah, absolutely.
it's shaped, and you've been going for 10 years. It's just incredible how just the one conversation has led to
Yeah.
that happening and you having this business that you've sustained for, nearly 10 years now. So that's incredible. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're both hard workers. I mean, you know, you don't come into the funeral industry lightly anyway. You know, it is a 24/7 role that you're playing in the community. You know, people want you at, you know, it's not a 9 to 5 job. You know, sadly, people will die at different times of the day. You know, and so, you know, it's all about the care. And you know, we give that commitment to the community, and we always have done from day one. And yeah, it just proved, you know, we went into business thinking we wanted to make a difference in our community. And our governing body came to see us because we are highly regulated, we choose to be. And they came to see us and they said, right, in your first year, you'll probably do about 30 to 40 funerals. They came back a year later and they sat down and said, right, tell us how many you've done. And we've done 176.
Oh my God.
So we knew we'd got something special and something that the community really needed.
Oh wow. You know, it's so, you know, such an incredible sort of way of approaching your business and dealing with it, because you've obviously prioritized and set your values and been clear from the offset that this is the quality, this is the standard, and this is how we're going to do it. And
Yeah.
you have a background in that yourself.
Yes, I did. And that was how I met Jason. So I'd had the children, sort of, you know, back in the, well, in Sam was born in 1999. Sorry, Thomas was born in 99 and Sam was born in 2002. And I'd set myself, because I could never sit still, and I'd had a career prior to that. I'd worked in recruitment and retail. And so while they were small, and I took that time out with them, I opened a curtain making business. So that was like my first sort of insight into a small business, and really enjoyed that, but missed seeing people, because in retail and in recruitment, you're heavily involved with people. So once they were sort of nicely in play school and sort of going into school, I looked for something else, and a job came up at the local crematorium. And I remember like my friends and family saying, you can't apply for that's just not you, you know. But straight away, I think through my customer care skills and everything, I took that role on and really enjoyed it. And that was how I met Jason. He was a funeral director there, and that's how we sort of met.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, so then from there, you know, we decided, I think, through knowing the local industry, what was missing and what we could give to the community. So that's how it sort of all came about.
Yeah, no, it's such an interesting sort of background story basically to how you got there. And I think, you know, if you don't mind sharing just a few tips, because you've mentioned a few things there, you know, to other women or other people looking at setting up and starting, you know, a business, because there's a few things I've picked up on there, and one of them is like research and stuff and knowing the industry and things you're trying to get involved in. So, you know, what
Definitely.
tips and things would you have for others?
I think my biggest tip is just do it. Um, I think, you know, you can sit on the fence. It's like with anything, and I've learned that through my own personal life now. You can sit on the fence and keep thinking about something, but just do it, or else you'll never do it. So I think that is definitely my first tip. Um, I think as well, you know, we felt that we bumbled along for 7 years. We always say, you know, we got on really nicely, but at the 7 year point, the business became bigger, and we felt that we were not in control of it. So at that point, we took on a business coach, and he's been absolutely instrumental to help us over the last 3 years, to help us understand our business, because now we know our numbers, we know the financials more. So I would say for anybody, you know, you don't necessarily have to have a business coach, but what I would definitely suggest is, if you're not sure on your numbers or you're not confident, you find somebody to help you. Because now we know our business inside out. We can forecast, we can plan, we understand, you know, through the highs and lows of business, how long it would take us to be able to survive if there was something came along, maybe a bit like COVID or something like that. So we can understand sort of the pitfalls before they can happen. You know, our net profits, gross profits, you know, everything. We've got a full hold on everything. Because sadly, I hear so many stories from people where businesses have failed because they just didn't know their numbers. So I definitely say that's really important. And I guess another thing is culture, getting the right people on board, you know, and that's hard. And we've had times where we've thought we've had a good person, and realized they were not. And when we've obviously they've either made the decision to leave or we've made that decision, the culture has totally changed again. We've realized that we've carried somebody that was maybe wrong. So it's really important that as you expand, that you are bringing the right people in, because without a nice culture and a great culture, you've got nothing in business.
Yeah, no, it's such a challenge, I think, and it's, as a business person, it's about learning to be able to make those difficult decisions, I suppose, rather than bury your head, isn't it?
Yeah, and it is hard. We set up a funeral home because we wanted to help people. We didn't necessarily set it up to understand accounts, marketing, and everything else, but you quickly learn. And I guess 10 years in, we're in a good position now where we can identify the areas that maybe we're not keen on doing or we're not very good at, and we can now start to look to employ people who are good at those things. But that takes time. When you're a smaller business, that doesn't happen, does it? Because you haven't got those financials to start doing that. Everything is on your head, and that's where it can feel a little bit stressful.
Yeah, no, it can be. And I think that you kind of see it a lot because you're quite involved with a lot of, startups and women in business and various things that are going on. So you must see and hear quite a lot of things and stories around those things and the finance.
Yeah, you do. And, and I'd like to think, we've become wise over the 10 years. And, I hope that there are women out there that I've spoke to that I've encouraged to stay positive, because they do feel that, things are getting a little bit too much or a little bit stressful. And, you can do it. It's just prioritizing, and planning is so key.
Yeah.
Planning everything out so that you know exactly where you are and what you're doing. I mean, we plan all the time. We plan 90 days. We've got a 5-year plan. But we also plan to each other, so that I'm very lucky with having Jason with me. We ask each other every day, did you get that done? What you're doing today? So we're accountable to each other as well, to make sure that we're getting certain areas of the business and tasks completed either on time or done. And also I think, in planning, we've all got the nice things we like doing, and then the things that we keep putting off. But planning makes you do those things as well. Like we say in business, don't we? You've got to eat so many frogs a day. And we try and do that as well.
Yeah, no, that sounds really, really incredible, because you obviously have clear channels of the communication, the accountability, and it's nice to hear that, obviously you and Jason are on the same page, because
Yeah.
sometimes that's also an issue that can happen, whether it's your spouse or whether it's, another business partner. You see people can fall out, or they're pulling in different directions, so that doesn't work.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I'm very lucky, and a lot of people do say to me, oh my goodness, how do you work with your husband? But I mean, to be honest, we don't see a lot of each other, but when we do, and it's in work's time, that time is quality to discuss the business and to understand what we're doing. And obviously we sit down together to do the planning and all that side together. And once a week we sit down with our business coach as well. So, that we've got a lot of support to each other and around us to help us.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic to hear. And I think sometimes as well, one of the things I've seen is there's a lot of people that underestimate, the coaches and the mentoring and stuff, because we don't know everything when we're starting. And it's nice to have that person. But I think the finance issue comes into play, but I think that there's a lot of organizations that are there to support you initially in the starting stages. And I think it's something that's invaluable, isn't it? As you've clearly mentioned and recognized within your own business.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, and I know it's really hard, and I've struggled, with imposter syndrome and my own confidence, especially when we started in business. But there is so much out there to help and support small businesses, even if it's doing some networking, to surround yourself with like-minded people, other people in business that understand the ups and downs of business, that can actually just say to you, yes, that's happened to me. You're not on your own and you will get through it. But yeah, there's lots of things out there to help you, to help your business become something else, or to increase, or whatever you want to do with that business. You've just got to go out and find it. And I know, like I say, sometimes confidence wise, that's difficult. But, you know, for me, it was right. I need to pull up my big girl pants and go out there and do it. And it's worked for me. So I'm a real, you know, a person that really believes in that, you know, if you go out to look for something, you will find it.
Yeah, and I think you certainly have found it. Tell us a little bit. You've been speaking at the House of Lords. You're the top 100 woman in the F entrepreneur. You've got all these awards, womanhood. There's so much that you're involved in, and you know, tell us a little bit about some of your awards, how you came about them, and everything.
Okay, so I mean, I've been on a personal journey as much as obviously owning the business with my husband. Um, there's always been that bit inside of me that's been sort of been screaming to come out to be my own person, because you know Jason is very well known in the community as being the funeral director, and I didn't want to be just known as Jason's wife, so I set out to look for other things to make me become more visible. And it started with the F Entrepreneur, where I applied and I told nobody, because then I thought, well, if it doesn't work, it doesn't matter, does it? And I was successful, which I was very grateful for. But once having this title, it was then like, well, what do I do with it? So it was, you know, you can't have a title like that, and for people to, you know, people would then be thinking, well, why she got it? You know, what's so great about her? So I started really with my own confidence and going on a speaker boot camp to be able to speak more clearly and to be able to speak in front of an audience. And from that, it sort of spiraled in the community. People were reaching out to me, wanting me to speak at assemblies, being involved in charity events and talking. And yeah, it just sort of spiraled from there. And then luckily enough, this year, the F Entrepreneur team asked me if I would like to speak on International Women's Day at the House of Lords. And obviously, I think for me, it's one of those moments where I said yes and thought about it later. And it was like, how on earth am I going to get through that? But it was fabulous. And, you know, the support in the room was amazing. And I thought I was speaking to about 100 people, but apparently afterwards they told me there was about 160 in the room. But yeah, it was really good fun and I really enjoyed it. So I'm really grateful for that opportunity. And I think then once F Entrepreneur had finished in the 2023, because that was my cohort, it was, you know, what other challenge can I look for? What can I do next? And so that's when I found the Woman Who group, and spoke with Sandra Garlick. And I thought, yeah, I think this is something I could be part of. But again, a challenge, because I'm then networking with people in a totally different area. You know, being from North Lincolnshire and then opening myself up to ladies sort of in the Midlands, it was, you know, am I going to be accepted? How's this going to work? And obviously, being in that sort of networking group, I'm not there to promote my business, because we are too far away for people to want to use our services. But, you know, it wasn't about that. It was about me and my confidence and my journey. So yeah, I've made some great friends and lovely ladies in that group who are so welcoming. Last year, Sandra asked me to be a judge on the Solopreneur Awards, which was amazing, but blooming hard work. But yeah, that was a great opportunity. And then this next week, it's the awards where I am a finalist at Coombe Abbey, and I'm also a keynote speaker as well. And I believe there's a lot more people in the room.
You'll be fine. You've been to the House of Lords. You've done it. You've done it.
I am ready. I am ready for this one. Yeah.
But it's incredible though to see when, you know, when you put your mind to something and you actually put yourself out there and go for it, you can achieve and get over those hurdles that are sort of holding you back, isn't it?
Yeah, and you know, believe me, I get butterflies. You know, when somebody asks me to do something, you know, my mind is saying, "Don't do it, don't do it. It's scary." But you know, if you don't push yourself out there, and you know, there's a famous clip with Will Smith, which I look at now and again, with him jumping out of an aeroplane, and it's that feel, you know, feel that fear. What's on the other side of fear is greatness.
Yeah.
And it's very true, because once you've done something where you've been really scared or worried about, once you've done it, you feel amazing.
Yeah, you do.
Uh,
And it's nice
yeah.
with sport as well, because I think, some of the groups you've mentioned, even, Women Who F Entrepreneur, because I'm involved in those as well. And I was an
Yeah.
entrepreneur last year as well. And it's just amazing the support that
Yeah.
you're getting from this community. And it's about being in the right community that's going to support you and nurture you and help you grow. And one of the things I was going to touch on as well was, looking back with everything that's happened. Now the boys have gone. Um, how do you think your own journey has shaped their futures, or the careers that they're going into, or what they want to achieve, really?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, when they do come home, we have some great debates. We talk about obviously our business and where we're going with that, and they like to feel they're involved in that. I think maybe they're looking at the bigger picture at the end and maybe what they're going to get out of it. I don't know, but no, they are interested in the business and they're interested in what mum's doing. So yeah, and I do. I'm very proud of my children. They've done so well. Thomas lives in Gloucestershire. He's carving out his own career in IT, and doing extremely well. Sam is at university in London. It's his last few weeks actually. And Sam is autistic as well. So we've gone through a journey with Sam, in terms of getting him the right support where he's needed it. But yeah, they're both beautiful boys. And I'm going to say that I'm their mum, aren't I? But I like to think I've brought them up well. They've got good values. And I'll support them to the hilt, whatever they want to do. And I always say to them, I'm right behind you. If there's anything that's not working, just let me know and I'll sort it.
Yeah. And
But that's what we do as parents. We're there to protect them, aren't we?
yeah, no, absolutely. And I like the fact that you've got that open communication. Again, it still comes back to that same thing, because otherwise they can go and do something because they've got no guidance, they haven't got that support. And it's just important, I think, to just hold things together, just like your dad spoke to Jason. And 10 years on,
Yeah.
your dad wasn't bothered, or didn't say anything, he probably wouldn't have thought of setting up a business. He'd have just said, yeah, well, I'm fine, I'm happy where I am, and I'm still helping, I'm still doing what I need to do for the community and stuff. So it's those little channels of communication that they help incredibly to shape us up, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you've touched on there as well, helping the children and protecting them. And and life is tough out there now, I think, for our children, really tough. But there are times when I've watched them and I've thought they've made a decision on something and it's maybe not how I would have done it. And that they've come back to me and said, I don't think I should have done that. And sometimes it's about watching them make a wrong decision, but them knowing that that you are there and you're there to help them, because they've got to learn as well, haven't they? We can't just wrap them in cotton wool forever. But yeah, like I say, I'll protect them as much as I can, but they've also got to look at how life is in reality as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You've shared so many different things and shown us, obviously, with your journey, that it's not just been an overnight thing. It's been quite the process. What
Yeah.
have you got coming up, for the business or yourself? I know you mentioned Woman Who next week, but have you got anything else in the pipeline?
Okay, so in terms of the business, we were very lucky last December. We went to a business boot camp in Vegas, and that sort of opened our eyes up to what the future could hold for the business. So we've got a couple of projects going on at the moment in terms of renovating a couple of properties. But we're also looking at acquisition as well now, which was something we hadn't considered. But we are getting more educated and learning more about acquisition. So in terms of the business, that's where we're at. For me personally, I'm sort of thinking about what other opportunities I can sort of be looking at and grasping. I've recently took on a lady to mentor, who's looking at her own visibility and her own confidence, and we're in early days of that, but I'm quite enjoying that as well. So yeah, we'll see what comes up, see what the universe presents to me.
Now that's all sounds really, really good and positive, and obviously heading in the right direction. Nichola, thank you very much. It's been an absolute pleasure having you, and I'm sure the audience is gonna take on quite a lot of the tips and things that you've mentioned in our conversation today. So thank you for sharing all those.
You are more than welcome, Esther. It's been lovely to speak with you.
Thank you.